Hello my friends, HM here. Ukraine has managed to destroy another Russian oil refinery. This time it's the 7th oil refinery they have destroyed in just 11 days. But let's take a look at some of the footage and then we'll talk a little bit more about what's going on here. So the best footage I have is this video here. And as you can see, there's a fire burning here. But there's also a building that kind of obstructs our view of it. I think they have hit what they intended to hit, one of the refinery columns that will basically shut down the whole refinery. There's also a lot of smoke coming up of other places on this refinery from processes that are clearly still going on. But let's see some more footage. Okay, so this is a picture I have of the incidents here, and I think here we can see that it has hit one of these columns. But this one is a pretty good picture of it. And the same report that has this picture here report that there were 2 drones attacking this refinery. So not a massive attack, but this drone attack happened a little week after Ukraine had just launched drone attacks with 5 drones on each on 6 Russian oil refineries. So I think they used up everything they got, Ukraine, of these drones. And then a small week has passed and then they produced 2 more of these drones and then they attacked this refinery. That's probably what Ukraine can manage to produce right now, about 2 or 3 of these drones per week that can hit these oil refineries. They have to hit them with a warhead that's pretty large, otherwise they won't do enough damage. And it's a 75 kilo warhead, and the drone is a 1,000 kilometer range drone. I'll have some footage of this drone that has appeared now that I got, and let's go to that now. Okay, so here is the drone. It's the first live picture I've seen of this drone. Otherwise, I've only had a picture of a toy model of this drone. It has been rather secretive and not much is known about it other than it has a range of 1,000 kilometers and a warhead of 75 kilo. Also, the Russians are saying that it appears that their electronic warfare systems, jamming of GPS signals and stuff, it doesn't work on this drone. It apparently hit the target anyway. So that's good news. That shows that Ukraine has a really good weapon that at least right now be able to penetrate Russian electronic warfare defenses. The oil refineries that Ukraine has attacked with this drone did not appear to have any anti-air rockets that could have been used against it. They have only been using small arms fire, probably from some security guards that draw their weapons and started to fire at this drone, but that's very unlikely that they will actually hit it. Okay, so here I have the name of the drone. The Ukrainians call it Lichu, and there's a toy model of it down here. But let's scroll down this page. Here we have a poster. Let me blow that up. And here we have the drone again. So that's kind of how it looks. And it's an important drone. Ukraine have hit oil refineries with this drone, but they also hit some aviation factories and some metallurgical factories that Russia has. So this is a drone that will destroy many very important targets for Russia, and it's the only drone I'd say that Ukraine has currently that is fully functioning and that Ukraine can produce in relevant numbers. Ukraine are also developing another drone that has 3,000 kilometers range that will bring all of Russia's refineries within range, and maybe I should show you that drone as well. Now this other drone is this airplane. We have a picture of it here. It's a larger airplane. It's produced in Ukraine by an agricultural company that made airplanes for pesticides spraying on Ukrainian fields. And now they have converted that airplane into an unmanned drone for bombing Russian targets. They haven't actually applied it in action yet, but I'm pretty sure we will see some action with it soon. This one can carry 300 kilos of explosives, but I believe that is only for 1,000 kilometers. If it has to fly 3,000 kilometers, it's limited to 80 kilos of explosives. But it's going to be interesting when Ukraine also start to use this airplane. I'm definitely going to report about it on my channel. So subscribe if you want to hear more about that in future videos I'll be making about it. So this article has a little more information that I think is important to inform about, and it's about the price of this airplane. It costs between $150,000 and $450,000 US depending on the model and configuration, which can include features such as anti-jamming systems, counteracting Russian signal interference. So Russian electronic warfare systems are being avoided. I think what is going on here is that Ukraine are buying some electronic warfare avoidance systems in the West, and that's what cost a lot of money. Basically, the airplane here cost $150,000, and then if you add these extra things like this electronic stuff, then it can get to $450,000 because Ukraine has to import that from the West, and these military electronic stuff, that's something that's very expensive, I could imagine. But the important part is that Ukraine can hit pretty much anything in Russia of value with this airplane, and I think we will see it in action hopefully very soon. We should also take a look at a map that shows exactly where this oil refinery was hit. It was hit here in Samara Oblast in Russia, and I've taken a distance measurement from Ukraine where it could have been launched, this drone, and up to this refinery, and it says 970 kilometers, so it's almost at the edge of this 1,000 kilometers range that this drone is supposed to have. Now, I found this article in Ukrainska Pravda that has a little more information on this topic. And they say that since the beginning of this year, in 2024 alone, more than 10 oil refineries and depots have been damaged, some of them on multiple strikes. That was 2 days ago, and now another refinery has been hit. So that was more than 11. And they have a map here where they count throughout the Ukraine war 2 years, 15 refineries or oil depots have been hit. These oil depots don't really count. It's the refineries that count. Oil depots are easily repaired, and because some crude oil is burning in a tank, doesn't really matter. It's the oil refineries that go down. They're super hard to repair. It could take years if Russia is even able to repair them, because it was made by Western engineers and Western technology, and they are now sanctioned, so they can't get it. So it is the refineries, and it clearly shows that there's an uptick in the number of attacks that Ukraine are able to carry on Russia because they got this new drone here. And there's another statistic here that Russia has about 30 large oil refineries and dozens of smaller ones. So if there are only 30 of the large ones, and now they have hit 10, 11 of these refineries that are either fully closed or partially closed, then you can see it might happen that Ukraine could actually take out all of these large refineries by the end of this year, and also many of the smaller ones. Also, when they use this 3,000 kilometer drone, they have to use that to take out refineries that are further away than 1,000 kilometers from Ukraine. But there are not many refineries that are further away from Ukraine than the 1,000 kilometers, because most people in Russia live within 1,000 kilometers range of Ukraine, and there are not that many who lives in Siberia, and so they don't have so many refineries out there. It has also been said that an anonymous source in Washington said that Washington had told Ukraine not to attack further Russian refineries because it was argued that higher oil prices would increase the probability that Donald Trump would win the presidential election, and therefore they wanted it to stop. I don't buy that explanation, and now Ukraine has attacked another refinery anyway after that came out. So either they ignore it or it's a false report. I do not think that attacking refineries in Russia will lead to increasing gasoline prices in United States or Europe. If they could stop the flow of crude oil that Russia are exporting, like 5 million barrels of that every day, yes, then it will lead to higher crude oil prices globally, and also higher gasoline and diesel prices for everybody. But that's not what Ukraine is doing. Russia will still be able to export crude oil. They're attacking the oil refineries that make diesel and gasoline, and that's normally locally distributed. And when that production is knocked out, it means that locally Russia will not be able to get gasoline and diesel, and that will of course harm the Russian economy. It won't be easy for Russia to suddenly find gasoline and diesel sellers to them that they can import from outside of the world. That's normally locked up in long-term contracts and distributed locally where this gasoline is produced and consumed. So I don't think it'll have any effect. If Washington had made such a request, just ignore it, because it doesn't matter and it's wrong. It won't affect the presidential election. But this is all I had for this video. I hope you liked it, and all there is to say is have a great life in freedom and democracy. Goodbye.